pleasure to welcome you here, let you know there's some refreshments. There are some tea towels for sale, so do speak to me later. I have a few put away especially, but I'll mention that at the end. So I'd like to quickly introduce Robert Peters and Fiona McKelvie, who together have worked to produce this exhibition and the booklet that was supported through David Weir and his department in Lurgan. So would you give them a big rip-roaring welcome? So Robert and Fiona, thank you.
All right, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of background as to how this exhibition came about, and do it through an illustrated talk with tea towels to explain how this all happened. I had an exhibition down in the Anthea McWilliams gallery in 2019 and had displayed this tea towel. It was a linen-related exhibition, and David Weir, who was working for the Lurgan Townscape Heritage, saw this tea towel and asked me to come and do some project work in Lurgan relating to tea towels and community engagement. At the same time, or shortly after that, I was fortunate to get an exhibition in our space here, and David had introduced me to Douglas Mowbray, who had preserved this huge collection of tea towels and had shown me some in the lead up to the community project, and it actually had inspired me to create a tea towel for an exhibition relating to the Wallace collection in London, and the colours in it are inspired by the colours in these tea towels here. So this was an image of Laura Bell, who's a very interesting character. Google her, and you will be surprised that a person from Glenavy lived the life that Laura Bell lived. And whilst making this tea towel for the exhibition here, I discovered that Anthea was a fantastic supporter and enthusiast of tea towel design. And I went back to Douglas and said there might be a possibility of exhibiting this stuff. And Douglas made some suggestions as to what range of tea towels we could show in terms of the floral patterns, the visit different parts of, well, UK, the world, and also infographics as well, tea towels being ahead of their time. We put a submission into the Arts Council through our space, and here it is. It's now being shown. And the little project down in Lurgan led to a couple of these tea towels here, where young people had done some drawings of the historical buildings in the town and created these tea towels. So that is my history of this, and I'll hand it over to Fiona. She's going to tell you some history as well.
I'm not very good on history. Hello everyone, thanks for coming this afternoon. Sorry it's been tricky for some of you getting here with traffic and whatnot, but we didn't know the real carnival had come to Lisburn today. I just want to say, first of all, a personal thank you to our space for inviting me to be part of this project. It was one very special to my heart because I've known McCaw Allan for a long number of years, longer than I'd probably admit to, partly when I was working with Liberty of London, and then they're now part of the Samuel Lamont group, who I would have known when I moved on to the White House linen specialists in Bond Street. So to be given the opportunity to do this was really absolutely super. But there's one thing I want to say before I go further with that part of the story. I worked for Liberties from the beginning of the 1980s, and as well as heirloom quality linens for both the dining room and the bedroom, and their wonderful collection of kitchen textiles, McCaw Allan also offered a service called CMT, which stands for Cut, Make and Trim, which means that the client would supply the fabric and McCaw Allan would cut it and make it. Now I'm hardly ever without a Liberty Tarmalone hanky, so they're still doing this 40 years after I first bought my first one. So I think that gives you an idea of the the client relationships and the longevity of commercial relations that McCaw Allan as a company has had. I think when you look around here today, you see something really quite special. People tend to think of a tea towel as, oh, you know, it does what it's meant to do, or it gets shoved in a drawer, or it gets forgotten about. But when you actually get it all together in one space, it gives you a real sense of the breadth of design style, the way that fashion's changed. I mean, if you think we've got fresh cream in the kitchen, telling you all the recipes you can have by using it, how to eat healthily, and then how you can get your can of draft Guinness out of the fridge. But it's I think when we look at the linen story, it's we always talk about generally Belfast as Linenopolis, or Lisburn with its connections to the Huguenot linen weavers. But Lurgan very often gets overlooked. So I've also got a big thank you to the support that we've had from Lurgan Townscape Heritage Scheme. It's an initiative that's supported by Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council, with the assistance of the National Lottery Heritage Fund. And I think it's been really encouraging to work with a council that understands the heritage in their area and also the social history that's connected. So it's really nice to find that Lurgan at last can get put on the map in the linen story in some small way, and I'm hoping that maybe there might be an opportunity to have this exhibition closer to Lurgan at some point in the future. But I think the person who has to be thanked is that man over there, Douglas. He's been so generous with his time and sharing with me in doing the research for the booklet so many stories and pieces from the archive and personal recollections, which has really been hugely important. So thank you very much. And I think we got in just in time, because as of the end of next month, this chap who has man and boy been with McCaw Allan is taking a well-earned retirement, so all the very best for that. I feel quite strongly that the tea towel really epitomises the spirit of McCaw Allan. You know, you can look and see here the skill and the craftsmanship that has been produced by the workforce of the company, all in and around the Lurgan area for, you know, since the early 1900s. Not just, obviously the tea towel came later in the 1950s, but in the glass case towards the doorway, you'll see a small collection of pieces that are the more traditional Irish linen. So you have embroidered tray cloths, and it shows the Irish cabin branding in its first iteration, if you like. And actually there's one very special piece in there. McCaw Allan worked closely with the local community who would do the drawn thread work and the embroidery on linens, and I'm very fortunate to own one of the last pieces of bed linen that was produced using hand-drawn threads, and that's in the display case. I've been collecting Irish cabin products for some years, long before this was ever proposed, but it's quite a nice addition to have to look at. When you're looking at something that's so very colourful and very different, it's nice to see what the origins were. But I think part of the variety of this is it just shows you the international nature of the business. They were innovative and they knew how to collaborate. You've got collections that were done with Guinness, for example, also with Liberty of London. You've got Twining's Tea, Fife's Bananas. Work is done today with the Victoria and Albert Museum. It's a roll call really of some of the most important international brands, and it's a real accolade to the way that the company functioned, to see that you know, we can bring this all together today to have an appreciation of it. So I have a wish, which would be at some point to see a collection of this produced again, a small heritage collection, perhaps 12 or 15 designs, because I think so many of them will have a really strong audience today. But that's just my wish. We'll have to wait and see. But look, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you so much, and enjoy this joyful and colourful testament to McCaw Allan and the Irish linen tea towel.
Thanks, Fiona. We'd like to ask David Weir from Lurgan to say a few words. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. And I think Fiona covered everything there, but I'll try and add something. So I'm David, and I work for the Lurgan Townscape Heritage Scheme, and as Fiona said, we're an initiative supported by the Armagh City Canberra Council and the National Heritage Fund. And really the scheme, it's focusing on restoring a number of heritage buildings within Lurgan, and also promoting the history and heritage of Lurgan. And the linen trade is central to Lurgan's history. It's central to the growth of the town from the 17th century right through until the 1900s. There's a linen museum over the way there. It's in Lisburn. It could quite easily be in Lurgan. Lurgan has a central part in the story of linen in Ireland. It was a place where some of the earliest linen weaving happened in Ulster. We'll mention the Huguenots of Lisburn. There were Huguenots in Lurgan and Waring's time. The Quakers were central. In the 1700s and 1800s, a number of the most important innovations in linen happened in Lurgan. So it's central to the story of the linen trade in Ireland. Now, so it's fantastic to have this exhibition. When we came to devise our education programme, linen was at the centre of that. And the tea towel, sort of, as Robert was saying, it wasn't, at the very start, I wasn't thinking let's do it by tea towels. It was sort of a happy accident when I seen Robert say tea towel, and then we decided, well, let's do a wee school project. As Robert was saying, the students at Lismore Comprehensive School, they created drawings of some of the buildings in Lurgan. And the reason we sort of went with that is because Lurgan's prosperity is based on the linen industry, we thought, well, why not get the buildings on the linen? So built on linen. Lurgan is built on linen. And from that, we then got to see the wonderful collection that Douglas had, or McCaw Allan had in the premises at McCaw Allan in Victoria Street. And which Douglas very kindly shared with us. McCaw Allan is sort of the last name operating now under the Samuel Lamont group. It's that last name in Lurgan, and there may have been maybe at the height over 30 linen businesses in the town. So it was great to be able to use McCaw Allan linen for this project, and it's great to be able to showcase the work of over 100 years, going back to 1904 of McCaw Allan. In this exhibition here today. And it's particularly nice to do it in Lisburn because, again, we're just trying to get the story out there that Lurgan is central to this linen story. And I don't know, Douglas, would you like to say anything just when you hear it? Because you are the main man here, so you are.
First of all, thank you for all coming today. I'd like to thank David, Fiona and Robert and the Township Heritage for putting this exhibition together, especially preserving the range and designs and colours of the McCaw Allan tea towel range, and hopefully it'll eventually make its way back to Lurgan. Thank you.
And finally, just
to say with Douglas, I've worked with Douglas for a long time, going back to maybe 2010 was the first time I met him, and we sort of talked about a publication about McCaw Allan. So I have to say, I don't know if you've had a look at this. This is a fantastic piece of work. Yep. Well done to Fiona. Oh, there you are. Well done to Fiona for researching and putting together the essay. Robert, not only Robert for providing the images, but also for this wonderful exhibition, which sometimes linen can be a bit dry when you see it being presented. This is anything but. This is colourful. It's just fantastic. And I don't know, I'm sure you've all chosen your favourite tea towels. My favourite is the Battle of Hastings one, top there for Guinness. I think that's fantastic and funny. But thank you to Robert and thank you to Fiona for all of their hard work. And Douglas will. I think we need to do a proper McCaw Allan history, that maybe like a hardback, maybe 500 page book,
Just like a retirement project.
A retirement project. But, we've got a good start here, so thank you.
Thank you.
And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Dr Sally Montgomery from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, who's visiting today for the first time, who will say a few words to finish. Thanks.
Well, friends, thank you so much for the invitation. National Lottery Heritage Fund is funded by people's money, which is everybody who goes and buys a lottery ticket helps to fund the Lurgan Landscape Partnership and events like this. And I think what is a genius part of my role, because I sit on the committee, is being able to see the heritage, local heritage, and it's always, always enlightening. And I agree with you about Belfast and Lisbon. I live a stone's throw away from Ansborough, another linen centre with the Merlins, who developed the first wet spinning factory. So it's just so much ingrained in our heritage. And I have for years, for years since I've been here 46 years, and I always sent my late father and aunts handkerchiefs, and I realise now they were McCaw Allan handkerchiefs. And my father was very, very particular about having a linen towel after he shaved. He dried his face on a linen towel, and I can see that that was a McCaw Allan linen towel. So thank you very much for linking your heritage with my family, because it's kind of fills in a few gaps. And it was delightful to read the history of McCaw Allan, and I agree, I think maybe a nice coffee book would be lovely to see the history of McCaw Allan written up. But this is absolutely glorious, and my congratulations to everybody who's involved, and thank you so much for putting it together.